Hello, boys and girls. It's Miss B again. I'm here to read another book. Since we have been learning about weather during our science lessons, I'm going to read a book called Cloudette. It's about a little cloud. This book was written and illustrated by Tom Lichtenheld. This is one of my favorite books. I used to read it to my kids when they were your age, so we will see how you like it. It's about a cloud named Cloudette. Now, Cloudette was a cloud. She was a very small cloud. Usually, Cloudette didn't mind being smaller than the average cloud. In fact, being small had lots of advantages. Everyone called her cute little names like Pipsqueak and Shortcake and Small Fry. She had lots of little friends like this little squirrel, our bird, and this kite. And no matter how crowded it was, she could always find a good spot to watch the fireworks. She could sneak through tight spaces, and she could hide in small places. She even had a special little space that always made her feel cozy at night. But once in a while, all the other clouds would run off and do something big and important, and she would have to stay behind. Cloudette could see them off in the distance doing all sorts of important cloud things. This made her want to do big and important things too. She wanted to make a garden grow. She wanted to make a brook babble. She wanted to make a waterfall fall. And she thought nothing would be more fun than giving some kids at school a day off. One night, Cloudette lay awake wondering what she could do that was big and important. She thought maybe she could work for the fire department, but they said they didn't need her. Or maybe she could help some plants down at the garden center, but they didn't want her either. Nobody seemed to need Cloudette, not even the car wash. And she was feeling blue. The next day, there was a big storm in Cloudette's neighborhood. The sky got dark and the rain came down like cats and dogs, and the wind blew harder than she had ever seen the wind blow before. When the storm finally stopped, she realized she had been blown far from her neighborhood. She didn't know anyone here, and they didn't seem to be very eager to get to know her. But pretty soon, she was making new friends, and she was seeing things she had never seen before. Then she heard something she had never heard before. Ribbit. She looked down at what was supposed to be a pond, but it was really just a puddle of mud. She asked a frog, "What happened to your pond, Froggy?" He said, "It dried up, and now it's more like a puddle than a pond." And that gave Cloudette an idea. More like a brainstorm, actually. She held her breath until she started to puff up all over. Then she turned a nice blue-gray color. She kept growing until it looked like she was ready to burst. She shook her little behind until it made a little rumbling sound. Not quite what you'd call thunder, but enough to let people know that they might want to get an umbrella. And then she did what she wanted to do for ages. She let it pour. Cloudette rained on that little puddle until it grew into a big puddle. And then she kept on raining until that big puddle grew into a perfect pond. As soon as she stopped, the frogs of every stripe and spot came jumping into that pond. They all let out a big thank you in unison. One big ribbit. And Cloudette was exhausted, but she was happy. Even the higher-ups were impressed, and that got her thinking, I bet there are other important things that a little cloud can do. And off she went. The end. We see in the end, she started to rain and it made a waterfall that made a little pond so some kids can go swimming. I'm sure that was very important to those kids. So now that we've learned about that weather, you can keep an eye on the weather at home. See if we see any little clouds raining, or is it going to be sunshine? Maybe it'll be windy. It won't be windy. You keep an eye on that home while we keep an eye on the weather at home, and tell us all about it when we get back to school. See you later.